Welcome back to our daily devotions looking at the Psalms of Ascents. Today we continue with Psalm 131. O Lord, my heart is not lifted up, my eyes are not raised too high. I do not occupy myself with things too great and too marvellous for me, but I have calmed and quieted my soul. Like a weaned child with its mother, my soul is like a weaned child that is with me. O Israel, hope in the Lord, from this time on and forevermore. Over the last few days, we've been hearing a whole series of psalms, and they felt like spiritual highs and spiritual lows. They've seemed to have been really either end of the spectrum, real end-to-end stuff. And today our psalm feels quite different. When I was reading Psalm 131, I was feeling like it was a centering psalm. It was much more of a calming psalm after these highs and lows. And it's interesting, over the last few days, I've noticed a few times that it doesn't seem a mistake that the Psalms have been ordered in the way that they have. And today, actually, I feel that as well. After these highs and these lows, it's really interesting to have a psalm that's all about centering yourself, not thinking yourself too highly or too low, but just acknowledging who you are before God after all of these highs and lows. And so King David is calming himself, taking stock of himself, putting himself in perspective, and also putting God in perspective as well. I've noticed that during isolation, it has been a real test of character. Everything takes longer. So much of life happens on technology that seems to drain us. So many of our coping strategies may well just be impossible right now. And so I think actually we may well have got to that point where we're having to be honest about our character before God at the moment. And actually what I want to say is that this isn't a bad thing, because God actually knows our characters. God knows us better than we know ourselves actually. And so actually this is really more of a reality check for ourselves, so that we don't think of ourselves better than we actually are. It's hard to know what frame of mind David was in when he wrote this psalm and he came to this conclusion. But he said, I have got to the place where I know that I'm not proud, and I don't think of myself better than anyone else. It says I don't aspire to great things or to what is beyond me. And this means I know what it is to be human, because the things beyond me are the things of God. I know what it is to be human. He is saying, I've done my self-reflection, and now I know who I am before God. And so my challenge to you today is, have you come to that moment in lockdown where you've realised a few things about yourself? Have you been honest about them? Firstly, with yourself, and secondly, with God. After all, He already knows these things. So my challenge is, will you invite God into these realizations? Ask His Spirit to guide you and to teach you. Don't be ashamed of learning something about how God made you. And don't be downbeat, because actually God can breathe life into every situation in our lives. Life may not come out how we anticipated, but we can invite God into every situation and He can breathe His Spirit into it. Now the psalm ends, O Israel, wait for the Lord, now and forever. So my encouragement to you is to use the moments after this video to think about what God is teaching you about your character at the moment. Give it back to God in prayer. Acknowledge your challenges and where you need God to breathe his Spirit into your life. You won't regret it.